Imagine waking up late on a Tuesday morning, just lying on your bed and realizing you don't have to rush for the MRT because you don't need to work a corporate job. No, you didn't win a lottery, but you are simply living off passive income in Singapore. For many of us living here long term, achieving financial freedom is the ultimate retirement dream. The Singapore landscape is practically built for this, thanks to tax-free dividends, a stable economy, and a robust housing market. But let's get past the generic financial advice and look at the actual numbers. How much cold hard cash do you actually need to quit your day job and live entirely off your assets? Let's break it down into realistic and practical steps. Step number 1 would be to define your lifestyle. Before calculating your investment target, you need to know your destination. How much do you actually spend every month? Everyone's target is different. So let's take a look at 3 typical profiles based on local living costs and official data from the Department of Statistics. So profile A would be the hawker center minimalist. The lifestyle is you cook at home or eat at the local hawker center and coffee shop. You take the MRT and bus everywhere with no private car. Your entertainment consists of walks at East Coast Park, watching Netflix, and occasional budget trips across Southeast Asia. And you live in a fully paid off HDB flat. So the estimated monthly budget, let's say, would be about $2,000 per month. And then profile B, let's say this is the balanced life. In terms of lifestyle, you enjoy regular dinners at air-conditioned shopping malls, buy weekend lattes, and take Grab rides when it rains. You go on 1 or 2 major overseas holidays per year. You do have a family or live comfortably in a mid-sized HDB or a small condo. The estimated monthly budget is about $4,500 per month. FYI, that data shows the average Singaporean household spends roughly about $5,900 per month on goods and services, including family expenses. And next, we have profile C, which is the premium life. Let's say in terms of lifestyle, you drive your own car, live in a private condo, enjoy fine dining, hold gym membership, and travel premium or business class. The estimated monthly budget would probably be $9,000 per month or even more. And then step 2, we need to talk about what is a realistic dividend yield in Singapore. To figure out our nest egg, we need a realistic dividend yield, which is the percentage of cash an investment pays you annually relative to its price. While US markets are famous for tech stocks that grow past but pay almost zero dividends, the Singapore Exchange is a paradise for income seekers. A diversified portfolio built right here can realistically yield anywhere from 4.5% to 6% annually. Let's look at 3 main building blocks of a local income portfolio. The first one would be the blue chip giants, which could bring you realistically about 4 to 5%. Think of our local big banks or Singtel. They are stable, highly profitable, and consistently distribute cash to shareholders. The second one would be Singapore Real Estate Investment Trusts, which could bring you 5.5% to 6.5% because they allow you to act as a landlord for prime properties such as Vivo City, Ion Orchard, or massive industrial data centers. By law, they must distribute at least 90% of their taxable income to shareholders, ensuring a steady stream of payouts. And then you have the third bucket, which is the low effort option, which could bring you about 4 to 4.5%. For example, the Straits Times Index or STI ETF tracks the top 30 companies in Singapore. It provides instant diversification across banks, real estate, and industrials in a single click. To keep our math safely, conservative, and sustainable for the long run, we will use a 5% average net dividend yield for our final calculation. So step number 3 would be calculating the dividend magic number. Let's do the raw math. To find your required portfolio size, if you rely only on stocks, take your annual target expense and divide it by your dividend yield. So this table breaks down exactly how much capital you need to accumulate based on your desired lifestyle. Looking at the table, hitting a balanced lifestyle required a portfolio of around $900,000. While $1 million sounds intimidating, it is the standard benchmark if stocks are your only income engine. But what if you could slash those targets in half? Here comes step number 4, which is using your property to lower your target. Let's be completely honest. Looking at a stock target of $900,000 can feel a little daunting. But as Singaporeans and long-term residents, we have a unique advantage. Most of our wealth is locked up in our property. If you are already on the property ladder, you don't need to rely only on the stock market to fund your life. You can use your flat to generate passive rental income, which dramatically shrinks the size of the dividend portfolio you need to build. Here are the two most common ways local homeowners play this game. The first one is the empty nest room rental. Once the kids grow up and move out, you might find yourself with 1 or 2 empty bedrooms. Renting out a single common room in a well-located HDB flat can easily bring $800 to $1,200 a month in today's market. The dividend impact is, if you secure just $1,000 a month from a tenant, that's $12,000 a year. Using our 5% dividend rule, that single rented room instantly knocks $240,000 off your required stock portfolio target. And then the second approach would be to right size. And this is the ultimate retirement move for many locals. Imagine moving out from your 5-room flat after MOP or when you retire and renting out the whole unit while you downsize to a smaller, fully paid 3-room flat or 2-room flexi flat. Depending on your location, renting out a whole HDB flat can fetch anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000 a month or even more, depending again on location. If, let's say, you clear $3,500 a month in rental income and your target balanced lifestyle costs about $4,500 a month, your property is now covering almost your entire lifestyle. You only need your stock portfolio to bridge the remaining $1,000 a month gap. Instead of needing a massive $900,000 stock portfolio, you suddenly only need about $240,000 in dividends to live the exact same balanced life. So let's summarize the different strategy that you could do to be able to live off a passive income. As you can see, by treating your condo or HDB as an active income generator, you can achieve financial freedom in Singapore much faster and in a more realistic way. Now let's talk about the realities about passive income, because before you hand in your resignation letter and just decide to live off dividends and rental income in Singapore, there are several things that you need to know. The first one is Singapore inflation. Even if your expenses now are $4,500, they will not stay the same in 10 or 15 years because food prices will rise and public transport fares will be adjusted and healthcare costs will rise as well. So never spend 100% of your payouts. If your portfolio pays out, let's say $5,000 a month, but you only spend $4,000, then reinvest the remaining $1,000 back into buying more shares. This expands your portfolio organically so your income scales alongside inflation. And then another thing you need to watch out is that markets and rental streams can fluctuate. During major economic downturns, companies may cut their dividend payouts to preserve cash, and tenants might negotiate lower rents or even move out. If you only own 1 or 2 stocks or rely entirely on a single tenant, a sudden market shift can heavily impact your monthly income. True security comes from combining the stability of bricks and mortar housing with a diversified stock portfolio. Another thing that you need to know is that there's no capital gains or dividend tax in Singapore, but if you live off dividends in the US or UK, their government takes a hefty cut of your payouts. So for example, if you invest in US stocks, then the dividend will be subjected to 30% cut in the payouts, whereas if you buy stock listed in the UK, then the cut will be 15%. So you need to make sure that you calculate this when you're trying to project how big your portfolio should be. So in summary, as you can see, you don't necessarily need $1 million sitting in your bank account today to get started because this is a game of consistency. So my suggestion would be every time you get your monthly salary or bonus, please set aside a certain portion to purchase shares of high quality assets. Turn on a regular savings plan with your local brokerage to automate the process. At the same time, make smart property decisions early and buy a property with good rental potential or planning your long-term housing roadmap to ensure your home works for you later in life. Slowly but surely, those regular stock payouts and monthly rental checks will transition from covering your basic utilities to paying your groceries and hopefully funding your entire lifestyle. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. To support my work, you can give a one-time tip by pressing the thanks button, pick the amount that you want, and click buy and send. Or you can also press the join button for exclusive contents and monthly membership. Your support means a lot to keep us independent. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.